Hey everybody, AC here, and welcome back to another episode of Marvel's Spider-Man for the PS4. I'm going to switch over from the web suit to the amazing suit.
Hold on,
Tobey Maguire to Andrew Garfield.
Now let me please be the voice of the audience for a moment once I find the thing I'm looking for here. This is such a long process, I need to just have this always open. Okay, so I switch back and then do it again. Everything set up for it. Okay, are you doing it? I can't see.
No, hang on, I'm busy trying to stop this getaway car.
Let's make sure it doesn't go off the bridge with that little kid.
Okay, I'm in the web suit now.
Okay, now you gonna do it? Okay, tell when you do it.
Switch to the amazing suit. Okay, that
was not worth the setup.
That was not worth
the setup.
Oh my god, dude. Why you gotta waste my time with that?
Okay, well, here's the thing. I thought I'd be able to get to it faster. But my phone likes to glitch out in animations for like 5 minutes.
Such a time waster.
With friends.
I don't even like Fairy Tail.
That wasn't even just for Fairy Tail. That was just the anime WoW thing that everyone uses.
That comes from Fairy Tail.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The Japanese version, right?
Well, actually, they have it in the English dub version, too.
Oh my god.
They use it in both the sub and dub. Several times, in fact.
Do you know why it's called? I think this might actually be a Kamen Rider outfit is what this is. It's based off the Kamen Rider. It's called the Arachnid Rider suit. So, Henshin!
Yeah, it's basically Power Rangers meets Mech Suit.
Oh, God,
Power Rangers meets anime Mech Suit.
Yeah. Oh. I'm having to do an MJ mission. This is why I prefer Miles Morales.
Hey, okay. I have a completely different opinion than most people. I love the MJ and Miles missions in this game because it gives you the opportunity and the chance to actually see how other people react in situations where Spider-Man would normally be the one to save the day. Like, you get to actually be a hostage in a hostage situation. And you get you can actually see Spider-Man climbing in through the vents and trying to find a way to save everyone. And it's really cool.
But here's the thing, when you're playing characters who you know at some point or another have had spider powers, and you're just stuck running around hoping to God no one shoots you, or sees you for longer than 3 seconds, it kind of ruins the experience of
Not
cool,
really.
I know these characters.
Not really, because even though I know Miles will eventually get spider powers, it doesn't really matter because I know this game is just going to be his origin story, setting up him getting his powers in the first place. I know it's not going to be. I know it's not going to be anytime soon. I just know that he's going to get them by the end of the game. So I know that until the end of the game, he's just going to be normal Miles, and I'm going to have to play as him. And it's cool to see him actually, like, solve his problems without any powers. He freaking does a whole stealth section against the Rhino, for crying out loud. Like, seeing how massive, how absolutely massive the Rhino is when a normal person, like, has to hide from him, it's legitimately scary. Like, you're not terrified of the Rhino when you're going up against him as Peter, because, you know, that's just another Tuesday. That's just a Tuesday for Peter. But for Miles, he's never had to take on supervillains before.
Meanwhile, in the Miles Morales game, you do it twice.
Yeah, which I actually think is really good that it was Rhino that you fought twice, because like, it's basically payback for anyone who had a hard time with the Rhino section in the first game. Like, my first time going through that section, the Rhino section in the first game as Miles, I did have a hard time because I was trying to figure out exactly what I was supposed to do to avoid getting caught by him. So I did have a hard time my first time going through. But it's basically payback.
Yeah.
It's basically payback, so that you can. It's basically payback. You get payback twice. The first time it's payback for how much crap he gave you in the first game, and then after that, it's payback for all the crap that he gave you. It's for all the, well, not the crap that he gave you, but for how badly he hurt Peter. You know, this is Miles' chance to, like, get payback for his mentor.
Well, the second time doesn't even do that. It's just you got stuck with him because Roxxon are just taking the bad guys they can, giving them more stuff to work for them, so then they can, get away with all their douchey antics. Also, I love how everyone's like, "Oh, this is the Goblin mask or whatever," in freaking Osborn's apartment. Meanwhile, I look at it, all I can see is freaking Hawkmoth.
Hey guys, you charge for truck rides or you kidnap these rides for free?
Honestly, I'm just happy that it looks as though they're setting up Osborn to be the traditional Green Goblin and not the Hulk clone that he's starting to become recently.
Oh, you mean the Ultimate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that version has started being used a bit more quite a bit more in recent years. Okay, where the hell are the last of the...
Time to open up the trunk.
Oh. Oh! Oh, I thought this was just a... Yeah, I thought this was just like a cash thing. I thought, like, they just had cash in the trunk. No, they had a hostage. Here I was, standing right next to the trunk, wondering what the hell I was supposed to do while a hostage was in there, suffering. Oh my god. Okay. I'm a good Spider-Man.
There's no such thing as a good Spider-Man. There's just a Spider-Man.
Oh man. Oh god, that's funny.
The only thing you can consider a bad Spider-Man is Wolf Spider, and he doesn't even go by Spider-Man, so...
Anyway. So I'm not a fan of the hulking Green Goblin that has started to show up in recent years. Like they started using that version of Green Goblin a lot more, and I don't like it.
I like the idea of it more than I like the execution. Dude, there's an absurd level of ray tracing in the ray trace reflections in Osborn's apartment. Like, holy crap, this can't be lived in. In order for it to have this much gloss, you cannot have a human being in here.
Well,
like, as cool as all the ray tracing and stuff is, this is excessive.
oh, are you playing the stupid remaster version?
Yes.
Oh God, I hate that.
What, did I have it?
Well, no, I hate that version. There's
Why?
a few major reasons why I can't stand that version.
Is it because they changed the trick thing from being triangle and circle to just square?
Well, no, that's not one that particularly annoys me. I mean, yeah, it makes it a little like it. While it is kind of convenient, at the same time, I got so used to the trick system and how it was that it's just hard to get in. It's hard to remember to just use square now. But that's not a huge issue.
Yeah.
That's not a huge issue. That's just something I'm going to have to overcome.
Okay, so what's your problem? Oh, you know you can New Game Plus, if you save up something capable of New Game Plus, you can send it over to the PS5, and then you can get all of the achievements for that version in the remaster. You can carry it over to the remaster. So you'll just get all those new ones plus the old ones.
Okay, now that I've done that, so my one of my big issues with it is while yes there is ray tracing, do you know what it came at the cost of?
Peter's face.
Well, no, well that I'll get to that in a minute.
Okay, what?
When you go swinging around, not necessarily Central Park, but you go swinging around New York, and you find little, and you find like lines of like trees, and bushes and whatnot around Central Park.
Yeah.
Take a close look at them and look at how low poly PS2 era they are. Where in the base game they look incredible. They look super realistic. They look like actual trees that you can actually touch and interact with. And it's not just that. That is certainly one problem that I have. But another issue is in Doc Ock's lab. Another issue is in Doc Ock's lab because
they forgot to fix the lighting on Peter.
Well, not only did they forget to fix the lighting on Peter, so Peter just glows in the dark. Because they darkened the lighting in the lab. They darkened the lighting in the lab, but they forgot to do it for Peter. But also, they added a crap ton of brand new textures to everything in the lab. But you can't see it because it's too damn dark! You can't make out all the new textures because it's too damn dark!
But you have to brighten you have
to up the brightness on your screen to the max in order to actually see the difference in textures. And granted, the difference in textures is cool and all, but I don't want to have to up my brightness to the max in order to see it. It's graphical stuff like that that make the game look inferior. And not only that, but yeah, it's time. Let's talk about that face remodel. He looks the same age as Miles!
Well,
he doesn't look like he doesn't look like he's been doing this for 12 years. He looks like he's 16.
Years. He's been doing it for like 6 to 8 years, not 12.
They said he'd been doing it since he was 16, and he's like 28 in this game.
Well, and they keep saying that it was like all that time ago. Fuck.
Yeah, Miles in this DLC says Miles in this DLC well, I don't know if it's this DLC or if it's the next one. But in one of the DLC, he mentions that Peter got his powers when he was 16, and Peter is like 28 in this game.
I thought he was like 26 in this game.
I'm pretty sure he's 28. They brought it up at one point, and I'm pretty sure they brought it up at one point. If you talk to, I can't remember who it is that you talk to. You talk to like, I think it's an optional bit of dialogue that you can hear. I think it's from Aunt May. I think she's the one who brings it up. But yeah, like they bring up his birthday, and I'm pretty sure she said 28.
Dang it. This guy won't move fast enough for me to get him. The taser's great and all, but if I can't use it, what's the point?
I think I'm close to one of those stolen. Happy to help, officer.
You know what? Screw it. I'm taking the long way.
Okay, that's all crime there. All crime in Hell's Kitchen. Okay, Upper East Side is the only place left that I haven't beaten all the crime. +1 health and +1 melee damage. Awesome.
Okay. I never noticed the doors closed because I never looked back at that wall. I've always been under the assumption they never thought to check the open door panel in the secret lab in Osborn's house. I always just thought they were that incompetent.
No, it closed because remember, Sable has to open it back up when she goes to check it.
I never heard the sounds or anything for that. I just see Sable walking in, and I'm like, finally, one of you is competent. Unfortunately, you're the only one, which is why you kick so much ass, because you have to. Also, interesting, this game was my first introduction to Silver Sable.
I knew who she was. I just didn't know too much about her.
I thought they made her up for the game, I'm gonna be honest.
No.
Yeah. Oh, and so do you know who would have been a better target?
She was in the cartoon. She was in the 90s cartoon for a few episodes. She didn't show up too often, but she was in it.
Also, in Miles Morales, every time you do a mission that unlocks a suit, even if you already have that suit, it will force you into the suit.
Fighting back the mob. Just like an old black and white gangster movie.
Honestly, I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of getting forced into the different suits.
Like, you can switch back right after the cutscene's over, but still.
Yeah, but I like the convenience of this. Like, it tells you unlocked a new suit, and then it's like, oh, cool, what suit did I unlock? You go check it out, and it's like, oh, cool, I like that one. Or, no, I don't really care for that one. I'm gonna stick with the one I have.
Yeah. The only suit you're forced into, really, in this game is the anti-ox suit.
Yes, because that's plot important. Well, there's that and the advanced suit, because that's the suit for this game. Yeah. That's the suit for this game. So,
that's also when you unlock the ability to change your suit.
Yeah. Oh, no. There actually is one other. There is one other that it does force you into. It's the black cat suit. But I'm completely okay with that because I love that suit.
Well, that's when you unlock it. After I unlocked it, I never got forced back into it. In Miles Morales,
that's what I'm saying is that when you unlock it, it does force you into that suit. But those are the only 3 times in the game where it forces you to wear a suit for a brief period of time before you're able to actually, like, change it back.
The only time it's really, like, forced every time is the anti-ox suit. Meanwhile, in Miles Morales, even in New Game Plus where you have all the suits unlocked, that suit is forced upon you each time you do the mission. After you complete the mission and you get the suit, it is forced on you and you have to change your suit manually afterwards.
Yeah.
These guys land so heavy. The fact that no one else in the whole complex fucking hears it.
Well, again, Sable International, like, they got hired and they're just here for the paycheck. They really don't, like, you can, if you actually, like, sit around and listen to some of their conversations, you'll hear that, like, they really don't give a shit about this job. They are just in it for the money. They really don't give a crap what's happening. Like, they are completely fine with just being lazy asses all day.
See, there's only really one guy you have to tase in the end. Like, 2 guys you have to tase in the entire mission up here. The only guy to pull the trigger while being tased is the last guy.
Come on! Ah, come on!
Hey, Sable. See you later.
No! I don't want you! Come on.
And your hand does not at all match the color style of this suit. You just look at MJ against the pretty much glowing freaking rider suit, and it is just... Oh, none of that looks right.
Well, again, the lighting is one of the big problems in the remaster. The lighting is not good. It has terrible light. It has terrible lighting. It has terrible lighting. A lot of graphical stuff is a lot more lower poly and looks like PS2 era stuff. Peter's face, he looks like he's the same age as Miles. He doesn't look like he's been doing this for years. He looks like he just got his powers. And his face does not match his voice at all. His face does not match his voice at all. It sucks.
It grows on you, if you let it.
Really? Because I watched the entire. I gave it the benefit of the doubt and watched the entire, every single cutscene, both main game and story DLC, and I just thought it got worse. It just got worse.
Well, you have to let it grow on you with Miles and ray tracing first. Because in that game, it looks better because they gave it time to look better. In this game, they did this afterward.
I saw that too. And I still think it looks terrible. Like, just no matter what, it just doesn't look like a good face for this Peter.
Oh, yeah, this Peter has already been through the Spider-Verse, right? By the time of Miles' game, Peter's already been out into the multiverse because of Spider-Geddon.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. That was a big comic crossover event that tied into the first game.
Yep. Also, I love how everyone points out that the Oscorp Science Center was not at all in this game. Yet it was supposed to have been from, like, it was supposed to have always been there, because you even get to see Peter and Otto there trying
What
to
about?
figure out
Oh,
materials.
that reminds me. The Roxxon Plaza, was that in the first game? I can't remember.
No, but that could have been built, because it was built between the times, and it was about 6 months, I think they said.
Well, also,
Nearly a year.
Let's take a. Let me just talk about that. That timeline real quick. In terms of the first game, after the bombing incident that took the life of Miles' father, 2 weeks passed, and then after Devil's Breath was released, and the Sinister Six began to run amok. That was like a week later when Spider-Man went back into action. A week after that, and then after the end of the game, it straight up tells you 6 months have passed since Peter's fight with Doc Ock. It says that.
Yeah.
And the heist starts up like almost immediately after that part. And then at the end of the heist, it says 3 months later. And there's a cutscene that says 3 months later. And then Turf Wars happens. And then it's like another 3 months later when Silver Lining happens. So like pretty much an entire year has gone by throughout this game. So at any point during them, they could have been like constructing that stuff. Because like we never do actually travel. We never do. Well, yes, it's not on the map, but here's the thing. We never actually go to that area where the Science Center is in the story of the DLC. We have no reason to actually go there. So for all we know, it could have actually been getting built, and we just didn't actually get to see it in the game. Like in the context of the story of this game, it could have been being built during that whole time, and we as the audience just didn't get a chance to actually see it.
Actually, there's a screwball challenge right next door to it in the game, in one of the DLCs, and it's still not even in the process of being built.
Which one was it?
It was the one with the fountain or whatever, like one of the ones near like the edge of the fountain. I think it was in the last one though. I think it was in the last one.
Hammerhead's men fleeing the cops.
All right, let's show what it is.
Does Hammerhead have a theme song? Feels like he needs a theme song. I've got a theme song.
You know, it's really nice of these hijacking criminals to, like, one thing I always noticed in these hijacked cars, is that anytime there's one sitting in the back seat, the right side back seat, and there's one sitting in shotgun. Anytime you go to take out the guy in shotgun, Your crotch is right outside the window of the guy in the back. The guy in the back seat. And the window is down, and he has a gun. He could easily just shoot you in the balls. He just points his gun, and he could just shoot you in the balls.
Yeah.
He could easily do that, and yet they never do. They're very polite that way.
You know what's something that I've really hated in this game that's somewhat related to that? Is that only in the remaster, I've never had this problem in the normal one. I keep going to the wrong seat when I'm trying to take the guy out.
You what?
I keep getting stuck in the wrong seat when I'm trying to take the guy out.
The wrong seat?
Like it keeps sending me to the front when I'm trying to get the guy in the back, and then I'll do the same when I'm trying to hit the guy in the back. Oh, okay, that wasn't fair.
Oh. Yeah, that only happened to me once, and that was mostly...
Okay,
here we go.
One of the very nice things that I miss from Miles every time I'm doing anything in this game is just the fact that he could drop into camouflage anytime. Why is there a... What? Pow! Also, I forgot that the slow down time thing was a suit mod. I thought that was just one of Peter's natural abilities with the spider sense.
Mob and counterfeit. Can't have one without the other.
Okay, there we go.
Probably better if I'm not here when the cops are on.
Okay, so let's see.
I feel bad for arresting the big guy off the wall after this. Whoever that is needs a pay raise. Yeah, there are only so many crimes I can be bothered with in a single block. Have fun storming the castle. Wait a minute. Wait, what part of the city is this? Okay, no, I was just in Harlem. Okay. I was about to say, they put freaking Roxxon Plaza at the space where you got the Devil's Breath cure, but no, they didn't. Okay. It looks kind of similar.
One of the stolen paintings should be.
Oh, so you want to know what my introduction to Mr. Negative was?
I know what my introduction to him was.
What was yours?
This game.
Mine was the Ultimate Spider-Man TV show when they first did their big multiverse jumping spider, like into the Spider-Verse thing. Because when he went to the actually, no, it wasn't the first time, it was the second time. Because Mr. Negative was one of Hulk's lackeys. And in that universe, Hulk was a mafia boss.
Right, which is, of course, my goal. Gotta go. Bye.
All right. I got 25 minutes left. I feel like I can get the last, I feel like I can get the last 8 paintings.
I think one of Hardy's old stashes is around here.
I don't like the fact that you can't climb down quickly when you're going along buildings.
The loot must be in here.
Also, the closest you can get to a wall takedown is taking down guys from beneath them on a wall.
Painting for you to pick up.
Thanks, Spider-Man. I'll send someone out
Like, really, a lot of what Miles does for his takedowns and things are things that Peter should have already been doing, because they're more advanced than what
you're thinking. She might
than anything you do as
cat,
Peter most of the
but I ran
time.
a search on her. Comes up clean.
She just hasn't been caught yet. The police got her suit and equipment last time,
Like,
but they
Miles,
dismissed her.
you can be hanging from the ceiling, like, a really freaking far away,
Loved this kid. Didn't want her mixed up in his work.
and then it'll just, ooh.
Good to know. I'll keep an eye out for those.
I set a
Sounds like Dad
web
did
mine on a guy
following
accidentally,
paw prints.
and so a dude just walked over to investigate him, and it just got more.
Alright.
Seems like one of those stolen paintings is around here. The root must be in here. Detective, found another stolen art piece. Sending coordinates your way.
Nice work. So you met the new black cat, right?
Why? You working that case too?
No, just curious. What's she like?
Complicated, frustrating. She's manipulative, but she's also got a good heart. She only robs folks who can afford it, or who she thinks deserve it.
And she gave you the slip, huh?
More than once. I can honestly say I've never met anyone quite like her.
I know the feeling. I'll talk to you later.
Alright. On to the next stolen painting. I really like the stolen painting mission in the Heist DLC. I love what they did with the whole tracking system, because I feel like they didn't implement it well enough in the main story.
I.e., the frickin' pigeons.
I feel like the tracking system in the main story was just kind of wonky. Not.
You okay?
It was not good.
Yeah, it wasn't that great. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't like that good either. I feel like they really knocked it out of the park with the whole tracking system in this DLC. Like it's a lot more responsive and a lot less wonky here.
Yeah.
Is the new cat similar to the old one?
Well, she's clearly modeling herself after Hardy. Her style, technique. Hell, her grapple looks like an updated version of his old tech.
Right. You guys had her equipment in lockup for a while. So she steals intellectual property too.
More like improves on it. She's elevated Hardy's work to a whole new level.
Almost sounds like you admire her.
Do this long enough, you can't help noticing real talent.
Dude, the advanced suit just looks so good. Like the more advanced suit, the upgraded advanced suit.
Recognize this game.
Although it also looks like a PS5 controller barfed all over the Spider-Man suit.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I like it.
I like all three. I like
it.
all three of the suits that they added. I like all three of the suits that they added. I think
I
they're
got a
all pretty
personal
cool.
headcanon. This is just like nanotech covering the suit that Peter was using the rest of the game. Which is why I keep going back to the other one, because like the nanotech needs to recharge or whatever is my
I
reason for.
think that what actually happened there with the upgraded advanced suit, I think what that is that it's
Paintings is around here.
it's basically the advanced suit but with frick I lost my train of thought. Sable armor.
Yeah, that's another thought that I thought at one point, that it looks kind of like Sable had help.
It's basically the advanced suit, but with sable armor.
Dude, I wish that this was like the actual advanced suit.
I'm sending coordinates your way.
Like, and you could use it in the, like, you could put it on Peter in the Miles Morales game.
Why'd the old cat try to escape Rikers? Non-violent burglary. He had a shot at parole.
Hardy got too big for his britches. The Magia wanted him to work for them. He said no. That got him. Their hit list.
Not a list you want to be on.
Especially if you have a family. The Magia will target anyone to make their point.
I've noticed. I'll be in touch, Detective.
Crap, which way do I go now? Okay. And that's the room away, right? The test fight goes?
I think one of Hardy's old stashes is around here. Another art piece. Found another painting, Detective. Hardy sure found some clever hiding places.
He was one hell of a second story man.
Obviously. So how'd you catch him?
I'd like to say solid police work, but the more I look at it, the more I think he'd let himself get caught.
To get away from the Magia? Must have known they could get to him in prison.
Sure, but the best way to protect his daughter was to take himself off the board.
And it ended up being more permanent than he planned.
Yeah, I do like the fact that the one thing that I will say about this game is that I never feel like Norman gets beat up enough.
Well, don't worry. I'm sure that Marvel Spider-Man 2 is gonna fix that. Once he puts on the Green Goblin suit, you're gonna get plenty of chances to beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, but then you also gotta beat the shit out of Harry at some point.
Yeah. And that's gonna result in, you dying.
Or possibly anti-venom.
He must be in here.
I think, here's the thing. Another villain that is being hinted might be coming back, that a lot of people think will be around, is Carnage. So I think that they're gonna go the route of having having Peter become Carnage, and Miles has to kill his own mentor.
Well, but here's the thing: Carnage wasn't crazy because Carnage was crazy and insane because he was made by combining the symbiote with the DNA and actual body of a sociopathic murderer.
Yeah, I know, but they've also done stories. They've also done stories before where Peter ends up getting the Carnage suit.
Yeah, well, Carnage infects Peter. That's happened a few times because it never just stays with the guy. In fact, I think there was a version where it killed him. Because, why stop? Why not kill the host if we're killing everyone? My biggest problem with Carnage, though, is just the fact that no one seems to know how to use him properly. Like, honestly, no one I've seen use him knows how to use Carnage to his fullest potential in terms of using him in the story.
This must be the place.
Oh, yeah, and you know what happened to? You know how everyone had a doppelganger in the Ultimate Universe, right?
One, Detective. Hardy had enough to set himself up for life.
Peter had a doppelganger. Steve Rogers had a doppelganger. Gwen Stacy had a doppelganger. All of them,
Little kid without a father?
right?
Trust me, it's never for the best.
Well, did you know that Miles had a doppelganger in 616?
Marcia's got a grudge. Hardy's death squared things. If he and his kid just disappeared,
The original timeline?
never would have stopped gunning for him.
Could have turned state's evidence, gotten witness protection.
The Marcia's got a long reach. Some things you can't go.
Yeah. And his doppelganger is apparently a universe hopper.
When I first played this mission with the stolen paintings, I could definitely tell that there was something the detective knew that he wasn't telling me. I just couldn't seem to figure out what exactly it was. But I knew he was hiding something. He knew something else about He knew something else about Hardy that he wasn't telling. And like, by the way he talked, I was like, does he know that Felicia is the new Black Cat? Does he already know it? And he's just playing dumb? And
one of my thoughts before I found out the bombshell that he was the original Black Cat was maybe he's like a cop friend who was helping him out, and like this is to settle.
That's what I was thinking. Is that maybe he was an old friend of Hardy? I was thinking that maybe he was an old friend of Hardy, and he's just like
Hardy was the Prowler, and he was Jefferson Davis. Except they did wind up turning their entire relationship toxic.
Yeah, like they were old friends or even partners, maybe. Like, I figured they had some kind of connection. I didn't immediately think that he was Hardy. You know? Because they went out of their way to give us an actual, like, name for this detective and give him a personality, and so I'm like, oh, okay, he's just another friendly person helping you. Helping Spider-Man.
We're supposed to be in the same position as Spider-Man. We know exactly as much as he does.
Like, I knew he knew something more. I just did not imagine that it was that he himself was Hardy.
And you heard Peter say that even he suspected that he knew something more and wasn't letting on.
Detective, looks like I found the last stash.
That was the whole idea, was that you knew something was up, but you couldn't figure out what until it was too late.
The last piece of Hardy's legacy. I really can't thank you enough, Spider-Man.
Glad to help, Detective.
Just like, and it even kind of mirrors Black Cat's whole situation throughout this DLC. She's leading Peter on. He doesn't know that, she knows what she's doing, and is only going to clue him in on what's actually going on at the last minute when it's too late to stop it.
It's even weirder. Better stop by his precinct.
It's actually kind of clever, the way that they pulled that off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still do find it to be kind of BS. I'm pretty sure it was in, is Turf War's not the last one, is it? It's Silver Lining?
Hey,
Is it in Silver
yeah,
Lining?
Silver Lining is the last one.
Yeah, in Silver Lining, one of the screwball missions takes you over right in front of where they, in the little park bit before you get to the harbor where the science center is. And there's nothing there at all.
or do you prefer Walter Hardy?
Hey, don't judge me. I did what I had to do.
Also, so is the whole game just in Manhattan?
And let's keep her thinking that. For her sake.
I know like Manhattan's like I know that there's more to New York than just like the main island.
You're a decent guy. Take care of my little girl.
learn how to be heartless and cynical like everyone else.
I like that line that it ends on. I like the line that it like that mission. I like the line that the mission ends on. Peter's like, "I am so gullible. I need to learn to be more. I need to learn to be more cruel and cynical like everybody else."
Yeah.
Oh,
thing
man.
about Peter, he always wants to believe the best in people.
Yeah.
Have
Anyway,
you ever seen,
what were you asking?
So, does this whole game just take place in frickin' Manhattan? Does nowhere else in New York matter?
Well, because the island of Manhattan is Peter's home. That's Peter's home. That's the part of New York that he is. That's the part of New York that he is known for protecting. Like,
Yeah, but
don't forget there are literal dozens of heroes protecting the entire city of New York because apparently that's the only city in the entire world that matters.
Yeah, like, there's actually been a comic series, like a little mini comic series, where some, like, random rogues gallery guys just come together and it's like, you know what? All these big places have freaking heroes. Let's go rob some Italian villa.
Yeah,
Out in the middle of nowhere with no one.
Yeah, it's like, hey, all the superheroes are here in New York. Why are we even bothering trying to be criminals here? Let's just go to like freaking Las Vegas or something. Let's go to Las Vegas, or
No,
let's go to Las Vegas or something. Do some crime. Do some crime over there, or maybe go to Hollywood.
There are superheroes in Las Vegas.
You what?
There are superheroes in Las Vegas.
Well, no, I am using that as just an example. As just an example. Again, I don't read comics, dude.
I'm not saying like their main base is there, but usually, anytime someone tries to go to Vegas, Stark's usually there.
So, like, but yeah, like that's the thing. Like, there are dozens of heroes that are protecting New York. Spider-Man is known for staying on the island of Manhattan and protecting that. Like, there are like dozens of other heroes that protect the rest of New York.
I love the fact that every time I'm like blocking his hand, Martin Lee's trying to Rasengan me. I don't know why. That's just infinitely funny to me.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, you seen Cobra Kai yet? That Karate Kid show?
Don't really have much interest. I didn't really care too much for,
the Karate Kids?
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really care too much for the Karate Kid films. They were okay, but, like, it just...
None of them were... Like, the original 3 were all right, and then 4... Oh, God, 4.
What one was 4? Was that the one with the chick?
Girl. Yeah.
Well, I thought bad too. Honestly, I didn't really care too much for the second one either. Because the second one was just the first one again. The second one was just the first one again. It was incredibly unoriginal and boring.
I mean, you can say that about Home Alone as well, but that still made more money than the original.
Well, Home Alone, at the very least, he wasn't, in the second one, he wasn't in a house. He was in a hotel, and he was in a giant, the entire city was his playground versus a single house. You know? So he had a lot more to work, you had a lot more to work with there, and so it was like a lot more, it was a lot more like, it was a lot more interesting and fun to see what he did. To see what he would do. But the Karate Kid 2 was pretty much exactly Karate Kid 1. It was like pretty much the exact same film. Like very little difference in between them. Karate Kid 3 was boring as heck. I did not like it. Karate Kid 4 was stupid. I did like the reboot with Jackie Chan.
I didn't.
Oh, I loved that. I love how the way Jackie Chan explains it. One thing I always didn't like about the original Karate Kid was that Mr. Miyagi didn't actually explain why he had him do all those chores instead of just teach him the moves. Why didn't he just teach him the moves? Why did he have to teach them in this way? I'm okay with him teaching him in that way. I just want to know what the reason for teaching him in that way is. What is the reason for doing it that way? But we never get a reason for doing it that way. The only thing I can think of is Mr. Miyagi just wanted to take advantage of this kid and have him do all his chores.
No, that's what Johnny does in Cobra Kai.
That's the only thing I can think of is that's what Mr. Miyagi does, because he never gives an explanation as to why he wants it done that way.
Well, it's because the prevailing theory is that's how he was trained.
Mr. Miyagi, for as ancient as he was trained to wax cars back in the time when cars weren't really a thing.
It wasn't waxing cars probably at that time, though. He was probably doing it a different way. But it was the motion. The motion. But it
still doesn't answer the question. Why? What is the reason for learning it that way instead of just being taught the moves? What's the reason for learning it this completely different way? Even if that's the way he was taught, it still doesn't answer the question of why. Why not teach it the normal way? Why teach it this way? I want an explanation as to why he chooses to teach it this way. Even if it was how he was taught, I still want to know why. What's the purpose of learning it this way instead of the normal way? Where in the reboot with Jackie Chan, he does explain it.
Karate is in everything.
Well, technically, it's not really karate. It's kung fu in the reboot, which is. I mean, yeah, that's an odd little detail. That's an odd little detail, but it's whatever. But
Karate Kid learns kung fu. That sounds like it could have been number 5, and no one would have batted an eye.
It's like it could have. He's like. Kung Fu lives in everything we do. It lives in how we put on the jacket. It lives in how we take off the jacket. It lives in how we treat people. Everything we do is Kung Fu. And he goes into explaining exactly exactly why he taught him that way. It's to not only better his fighting skills, but to better him as a person.
I feel like Miyagi did say that at some point, Daniel figured it out and spoke it. But it was about discipline and balance. I mean, yeah, actually, no, there was a scene in Karate Kid where
Mr. Miyagi never actually explains it. I can't even remember the kid's name. The dude who learns it, he guesses that that's what it is, but Mr. Miyagi never actually gives him an answer as to if that's actually the reason or not.
Well, he never corrects him, which is meant to be him saying yes.
Except if it was meant to be a declaration that he's correct, then have him smile. Or smirk, or nod, or just give him some kind of confirming look, some indication that is what was going on. But he just ignores it. He ignores the theory that the guy has, and so we never actually get a proper explanation for it. Look, I'm not saying the original Karate Kid is a bad film. It is a pretty good film. I personally just think that the reboot does a better job with telling that kind of story. When telling that kind of story, I feel like the reboot does a better job with it. Especially given how the thing that beats the bully in the original Karate Kid is just a simple jump kick. And those things are very easy to dodge in karate. Those things are very easy to dodge and block in karate. And Mr. Miyagi was like, "Oh, there is a sacred technique. If you use it correctly, no can block." And it's like, no, it's very easy to block.
Like, if you got timing and the other dude's coming in like a raging bull, like the way Cobra Kai is taught, then no, yeah, that's a surefire way to get the win right there.
Except here's the thing. That is such a basic move. They built up this move like it was something no one had ever seen before, and it's just a common upper kick cut. Like, seriously? It's just a common jump cut.
In the Karate Kid reboot, it looked like they gave the dude who did Dragon Ball Evolution one more chance.
It's like I don't like that. What I do like is how they ended things with the reboot. In the reboot, the kid uses what he learned at the temple, and how he saw this person moving along with the snake, and there was the big question of like, are they taming the snake or is the snake taming them? Like, who's in charge, who's commanding who in that situation? They are in such perfect harmony that it's impossible to tell. He uses that to his advantage. And he actually gets into the head of his opponent in the climax of the film and distracts him long enough to actually deal the final blow. That is cool. That is good.
And because it's, Asia, and specifically China and or Japan, afterwards, that kid went and committed seppuku afterwards. They had to redo all of Pokemon because every other country was appalled that after every battle, these kids would go and kill themselves for honor.
Except that's not true because Misty and Brock survived after getting beat by Ash, and Gary survived after getting beat by Ash because he's in the new anime.
Is that even in the same timeline?
Yep. And get this. In the Sun and Moon anime, when Misty and Brock showed up again, Ash mentioned how he used to travel with those 2 years ago. He actually says years ago. And it's like, oh my god, are they actually confirming that Ash just won't age? Are they literally confirming that he is literally timeless and can't age?
The dark theory that I think actually I've seen somewhere was confirmed to be accurate is that he's in a coma. Ever since that bike crash in episode 1, he's been in a coma.
Except, here's one major issue with that, is that he never met Brock or Team Rocket before then.
Yeah, that was a part of his psyche.
No, except Brock was there for so much of it, for Gens 1 through 4, and then he even kept appearing as cameos in Gen 7 and now in the Gen 8 anime. Brock and Misty both keep coming back, along with Team Rocket. These are characters that keep reappearing because they had to have been people he knew before going into the coma. But he had the bike crash before ever meeting Brock or Team Rocket. I think that if the coma theory does turn out to be true, it's not gonna be in that moment. What it's going to be is that after he meets Brock, something happens to send him into a coma. That way it explains all of the people that he met that keep reappearing in his coma dream.
I think I saw part of that is like it's supposed to. It's not like anyone he's seen, but it's like manifestations of different ideas, like ideals that he's had, or.
Oh no! Except the characters that are constantly reoccurring and are constantly with him throughout it are meant to be people that he met. And his mind is just recreating what they looked like and what they were like when they were with him. And all the new characters are manifestations of his mind that aren't actually real, and they're all just manifestations of his comatose brain. But Brock, Misty, Team Rocket, they're all in there, and the reason why they keep showing up over and over and over and over again is because he met them before going into the coma.
I mean, Dawn keeps showing up too. Are we gonna say that?
Who?
Dawn? The one with the Piplup or whatever?
She was only in Gen 4.
But then she showed up a few times with, I know there was one time where both...
She cameoed in like one of the other gens, but for like one episode. But she was mostly just in Gen 4, and May was mostly just in Gen 3. Serena was mostly just in Gen 6. Iris in Gen 7. Fuck Iris. I don't like her. But yeah, like, he met those other characters because they show up in hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of episodes. Like, the Brock, Misty, Team Rocket, they show up in way too many episodes for them to be just manifestations of his brain. Like, they're there because he remembers meeting them.
Or are they like the doctors in his room?
No, I think the doctors are going to be like a lot of the. I think the doctors are actually like Nurse Joy and Officer Jenny. Hence why they all look the same, because he has the same two doctors looking after him over and over.
Or maybe the Team Rocket and Brock were the ones who found him and took him to go and get medical treatment.
Except if they saved him, he wouldn't view Team Rocket as bad guys. His mind wouldn't view them as bad guys.
Unless they were the ones saying, that's not our problem.
Anyway.
I stopped like 5 anyways ago.
That's going to do it for this episode. So, thank you everybody so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.